So our first glute exercise is going to be a side plank with hip abduction, where you're going to be lifting the top leg off of the bottom leg. So first thing is we're going to be on our side, elbow is going to be underneath the shoulder. We're going to make sure we come up into a nice plank position with the legs straight. Make sure you're not rotated at all. So I want to ensure that everything is in a nice straight line. And then from here, I'm going to hold this position to start, but then I'm going to try to lift the top leg so that I can really utilize the lower leg to stabilize, and the upper leg is going to actually get some glute work as well. So I really like to recommend doing this for time as opposed to reps. So I would start with something simple, maybe even just like 8 to 10 reps, but work your way up to maybe where you're getting into 15 to 20 reps eventually. Our next exercise is going to be a single leg hip thrust. So ideally, if you can do this weighted, that's going to give you a lot more benefit. But if not, just start with body weight. But if you're going to use weight, you can take a dumbbell, maybe even a kettlebell. We're going to place it just below the crease of the hip. You're going to be having your back on a box. So make sure that you're just below the shoulder blades. And then from here, I'm going to raise my opposite leg up. I'm going to dip down as far as I can. And then I'm going to drive through my foot to come up to basically like a tabletop position, trying to really drive my foot into the ground to maximize how much I'm really using that glute. So for this, for a lot of our runners, we want to focus on trying to build some strength, but also endurance. So maybe starting in the range of 12 to 15 reps, but working into sets of potentially even 15 to 20 reps. So our next exercise is going to be a step up. I would ideally try to use weight with this one, but if you're not ready to use weight, just start with a normal body weight step up and you can use the same principles. So there's a variety of different ways you can hold it. Each one's going to give a slightly different stimulus. You can do goblet position, you can hold it in the same side arm, or you could hold it in the opposite arm. There's different benefits to each one, but I would just start with something centered in a goblet position. So from here, I'm gonna have my box. I have a 20-inch box here. So I'm gonna put my foot on it. I'm gonna step up by really driving the foot that's on the step through the top of the step so that I'm not vaulting myself up using the other leg. I can lean forward a little bit. And then I'm gonna control this coming down, and I'm gonna try to keep the hip, knee, and foot in a nice straight line, coming up tall at the top, and then controlling the lowering down. Alternatives could be I load up this same side. So I have the weight on this side and now coming up like this, trying not to swing the weight and trying to control it as I'm going up and down. And then if I wanted to put this on the opposite side, I could hold it in my left hand. And then now I'm coming up and I'm gonna get a little bit more contralateral stabilization with this, with the weight on the opposite side. I would definitely recommend trying out each of those and maybe varying it up from session to session. Our final exercise is going to be a standing clamshell. This one's really good to hit the outer glutes and work on some single leg stability. So I'm gonna have one leg that's gonna be my stance leg. I'm gonna bring the other foot behind me. My stance leg, I wanna have shoulder, hip, knee, and foot in a pretty straight line. I'm gonna make sure that I'm not bent forward excessively, but I have a little bit of a soft bend in the hip of the knee. My back foot, I'm gonna have up onto the toes. And then from here, I'm gonna keep the stance side really steady. I'm gonna rotate out this way and then come back. So I can do this to start with, and then eventually I can even come up to where I'm full single leg stance. If you need something to hang on to, you could. And now I'm gonna do my clamshells here, rotating out, trying to pivot my moving hip while keeping the opposite leg nice and steady. This one, I also recommend, I like doing it for time, so that way you don't rush the reps, but starting off with something as small as even like 10 to 15 seconds, but then potentially working up to reps of 30 seconds.